What is up, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. I've been meaning to get back into Canadian history for a while. I've been doing cultural things and isolated historical events, but I'm talking more about the lineal history of the country and the events that helped form the nation. And the one thing that I've been wanting to do for a while after I did the History of Canada video very early in the channel is to get a more specific understanding about how Confederation came about. So that's what this video is about, and let's see what we can learn today. All right, thank you very much. Oh, and please remember to like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. It helps me out a lot, and I so much appreciate you.
In the wake of the rebellions of 1837, Lord Durham recommended two things. First, he recommended that Upper and Lower Canada be joined and form one colony. Upper Canada would become Canada West, and Lower Canada would become Canada East.
Okay, so I guess this assumes some background familiarity, which I more or less have now from watching the History of Canada video, and I did not ever know about the armed rebellions. I do now, and I also learned, because you guys all told me in the comments, why Upper Canada was south and Lower Canada was north, and it has to do with the way the St. Lawrence River flows, which is entirely logical. Thanks for that information.
This was accomplished with the Act of Union of 1840. The second recommendation involved a restructuring of government from the existing system to a new system referred to as responsible government. This, however, was not well received by those already in power. The biggest fear was that responsible government would weaken Canada and Great Britain and perhaps strengthen Britain's political enemies such as France and the United States. This would all change, however, in 1846 when the British government repealed the Corn Laws. These laws were part of the Navigation Act. They gave preferential treatment to Britain's colonies when it came to trade. The end of the Corn Laws caused economic depression throughout the colonies. With the colonies now on their own.
The Corn Laws. I'm going to go back. I may have kind of missed what the point of that was.
These laws were part of the Navigation Act. They gave preferential treatment to Britain's colonies when it came to trade. The end of the Corn Laws caused economic depression throughout the colonies.
End of the Corn Laws. That's what I missed. That's why it didn't make sense to me.
With the colonies now on their own, new trading partners were needed if Canada was to survive. In 1846, the British government appointed James Bruce Lord Elgin as the Governor-General of Canada. His first act was to create responsible government. This change in colonial government did help to prevent a revolution like the one in the Americas in 1775. Sir John A. Macdonald, one of the major architects of Confederation, felt that a federation of colonies was the only way that Canadians would survive in this new world. Until 1867, the colonies of British North America were separated and independent except for the province of Canada. While many were opposed to Macdonald's idea, after the Corn Laws were repealed, Confederation gained popularity. Many feared the loss of power and independence through Confederation, but also recognized that strength in numbers and a stronger unified economy would be beneficial to everyone involved. Confederation also offered a...
Yeah, that's funny. It's like, if you think about the European Union, there were those concerns about losing independence, and but there are also being strength in numbers as far as a trading bloc and an economic powerhouse, and certain nations regressed off of that notion, and it's just interesting that there were parallels in history, but there have been for a long time. Strength in numbers versus independence. It's not a new story.
Way to expand west by annexing the territory owned by the Hudson's Bay Company and the Northwest Territories, while at the same time denying the United States access to these areas. Fear of American expansion north was a reality, as Britain had supported the South during the American Civil War and feared that the Americans would retaliate by expanding north.
They supported the South to a point. They were missing their cotton from uh, the northern blockade of the southern states, and they definitely flirted with the idea of supporting the South, and even came close to diplomatically recognizing the South until the Emancipation Proclamation made the war about the freedom of the slaves, and not just holding on to the Union, and that was untenable for Britain to do that. But Britain did supply the South with some material, and including a couple of ships for the Confederate Navy, and they ended up paying reparations. So yeah, there were tense relations between the U.S. and the UK at that point.
Two conferences were held in 1864, the first in Charlottetown, PEI, the second in Quebec. These conferences discussed many topics from government structure to the role each of the colonies would play in a new confederated Canada. The Quebec Conference concluded with 72 resolutions which provided a blueprint for Canada. It outlined a strong federal government and individual provincial governments that would retain many powers. These 72 resolutions were passed by the House of Lords and signed by Queen Victoria in England to ratify and create the country of Canada on July 1st, 1867.
So, I mean, I've seen this flag many times before, and I don't think I ever really paid close attention to the coat of arms here. And the bottom appears to be three maple leaves. You see a grouping of fleur-de-lis over here, which I assume stands for the French, and the English lions in the upper left corner, and I suppose maybe the upper right corner. I know for sure in the upper left corner. And then there appears to be the Irish harp. So why? And am I wrong about what I'm saying or what I'm surmising these stand for?
Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia would form the beginning of what would become Canada.
I'm sorry to ask a very stupid question. Who's Rupert, and why did he have so much land?
While this country would in many ways be independent, aspects such as foreign affairs and constitutional matters would still need to be ratified by the British government.
Okay. That was very short, and I'm not sure I learned a whole lot with that. I'm going to have to take a deeper dive into this. I mean, I've read some things over the years that I think I read somewhere that John MacDonald wanted the railroad, and that played some role in Confederation. I'm sure you guys will educate me a lot more in the comments on that, and I'm going to have to do some other video on this that does a better job at going further into this. This was perhaps too short. All right, my friends, that's it for now, and if you guys know of any video out there that's good on Confederation, please let me know, and I will do it, because I feel very unsatisfied with my learning experience today. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.